Welcome back, Slam Pigs Union Smack, right here, hIBIKI TMD, doing things a little different. Once again, got a wacky, zany format like last time. I'm Travis here with you for episode 13 review. Matt's right around the corner when I tag out, right after the break for episode 14. I hope everyone had a great, and is having a great holiday season 2018. I hope everyone has a happy new year. And we apologize for slacking. We've got our asses in gear, like I said, and doing our best. Next episode 21 and 20 and 21 review, with a quick synopsis of what we missed, because goddamn you, WWE just keep putting out so fast, we just can't keep up. We're not freaking cyborgs, but yeah, I'm here to do it. Before we get to business, real quick, on Twitter at the hIBIKI TMD, and follow Matt on Twitter at the Perfect 10 ANT. And as always, hit up our store, our official hIBIKI TMD store, unionsmack.bigdarkcartel.com. Get the official Union Smack t-shirt, hIBIKI TMD shirt, and Matt's brand new book, which yours truly does the intro for. The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, is now available for purchase over there at the store. Get yourself a shirt, a book, get your read on, get your style on. NXT UK episode 13 review. I know now we're up to like episodes 20, 21, 22. Let's get through this real quick. If you've been keeping up with the show, this is beyond old news for you, but for the sake of the show, our next episode, we're going to put a synopsis of episodes 15 through 19 to catch up real quick. Not full reviews till we get to 20 and 21 next episode. But for now, on episode 13, it kicked off. At the time, the newly formed stable, faction, whatever you want to call them, Gallus, headed by Joe Coffey with his brother Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, coming out to the ring to kick off this week's episode, getting tremendous heel heat. Fans chanting, "Not your kingdom" at them, blah, blah, blah. Along with Wolfgang, I feel like these guys, obviously they're brothers, they have good chemistry, but with Wolfgang, man, it's been a pretty good package. I'm enjoying it. I wish there was a little more substance, especially to a guy like Mark Coffey, but I'll take what I can get for now, but all this was basically, the three of them cutting promos, basically Joe Coffey for the most part, saying stuff like ruthless, and what was that other word that they said about us, devious, and what else, underhanded. And those are absolutely right, blah, blah, blah. Typical, I would say typical heel promo here. Nothing really head-turning or out of the box. Pretty much saying that, and by the way, because call me, I'll come clean. I had to look up what the hell Gallus means, because when they first called the group Gallus, not gonna lie, I just immediately think Luke Gallows. Can't help it. Can you blame me? It sounds exactly like it's spelled Gallus. Gallus actually means like cold or bold or daring or, ruthless, pretty much. That's the definition of Gallus. But I like the logo now. Hopefully it could it should be tweaked a little bit, but it's brand new group, brand new logo. Let's just see where it goes, I guess. If you know the spoilers for Takeover coming up, not going to say that now, but you can pretty much see, if your wheels are turning, if you've been keeping up spoiler free on the episodes, what route they're going with Joe Coffey headed to the first Takeover. Pete Dunne. But yeah, this was a fine promo. It got enough heat, but wasn't just the promo here. Gallus was interrupted by a returning Travis Banks, who, honestly, I don't know if the crowd was burnt out or what it was, didn't get a huge reaction. I know a lot of these crowds for these NXT UK shows over there are more your casual fans, I've noticed, over these episodes, but not a great reaction for Travis Banks. I expected a much louder reception, especially with the injury angle they played. And either way, he stood on the stage, and Joe Coffey got on the mic once again and pretty much mocked him and said, "Oh, who put you out of commission? We did," and all that. And Joe Coffey, by the way, Joe Coffey was fine in his delivery and everything here. Like I said, he was nothing, no real complaints, just. But then he dared Travis Banks to run down to the ring. Just him. He said, "I got this, guys," and told Wolfgang and his brother Mark to leave the ring. And they did at first. And you could see this coming a mile away. This is Wrestling 101 heel tactics, which is fine. I love some old school thrown in, every now and then. But Travis Banks saw his open window, rushed down to the ring, tried to get the Joe Coffey, got a few shots in, but immediately Wolfgang and Mark Coffey, they didn't really go the outside. It was a trick, and, they started beating him down 3-on-1. Out come Mustache Mountain and make the save, and that's how we finished off the first segment of the show. Fabian Eichner backstage. Haven't got to talk really about Fabian on this show. Last saw him, I think, in like the CW season. Did some shots on NXT, doing the favors for a few guys. Don't remember who he wrestled, but I'll say this about Fabian Eichner. In ring, really good. Good look. The new attire, and I'm sure Matt probably totally agrees, they've given Fabian Eichner to me, looks even more ridiculous than like Eddie Dennis's attire. So, like and, I, and we've talked about that on previous episodes. I think Eddie Dennis should tweak his attire too. Sorry, but right here, this looks way worse than Eddie Dennis's. Fabian Eichner now with his Hollywood Hogan gloves and like his God, it's like his Baron Corbin when he was metal long haired Baron Corbin pants. Just not a good look, and I don't think it's not a good look for the style of wrestler he is. He's more of a hybrid, kind of like an Apollo Crews, like a mixture of Rob Van Dam and just a good build and stuff. It's something like a hardcore wrestler would wear, or a street fight, or something like that. Not a guy like he was fine in the just the normal trunks or whatever before. I, I don't think the guy has an X factor jump off the screen quality, but I feel like he's a solid upper mid card level talent. Like I said, he can go. I've yet to see him have a bad match. I will say, I have now seen him cut a bad promo. Unfortunately, this wasn't a match for Eichner. This was a backstage interview with Fabian Eichner, and but typical promo. Usually when a guy debuts, he's come here because this is where the best competitors are. And yawn, I'm already fucking asleep. Yeah, that was that. That brings us to Fabian Eichner versus Mark Andrews. Man, I dare I say match of the night. This, if you've seen both of these guys compete before, I've never seen them compete against each other. This was everything you could possibly imagine. They threw everything but the kitchen sink out there. There was the shooting star press, the fall to pieces Mark Andrew does. My God, there were springboard tornado DDTs. There were all kinds of things off the apron. This match was just really well paced. Maybe a little more selling for my liking, but it didn't go out of control with, the indie-rific high spot festy stuff. But I don't know, man. It also had points of just the two guys, going blow for blow, staying in the middle of the ring and chops and stuff like that. This wasn't just a flippity doo to high spot fest. Shocker. One of the biggest shockers on NXT UK so far since covering the show. Fabian Eichner gets the win clean for this. He not only did he beat Mark Andrews clean in this, he kicked out of his finisher, like I said, a bunch of stuff. He looked really strong. And I don't know if at first I wasn't sure if Eichner's supposed to be a heel, and that was another thing that I was actually impressed with Eichner in this. I feel like he was a tweener coming in, but the psychology and the way he played it throughout the match, played to the crowd, certain things he did to Andrews, he came out of this as a certain clear-cut heel, and he did a good job, and he got tremendous heel heat from the fans. The fans did not like him. I don't think he's good at playing that arrogant prick. I think it's early. It's going to take some seasoning, but I think he could get there. I think the biggest flaw against him could be I haven't heard a lot of him talking, just really this promo in this episode, but from what I heard, got some work to do. I don't know if the accent does him any favors, but we'll see. This match was really good. Dare I say must see. I don't know how Matt feels about it, but I was really surprised Fabian Eichner got the win, and I don't hate it. You know what I mean? That's what this kind of promotion or division or brand or show, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's all about is introducing new talent, booking them right, showing them strong in a competitive way. I don't think either guy was hurt in this either in the process, and that at the end of the day is probably the most important thing when handling talent. Speaking of surprising things, after this we were blindsided by a random vignette for Isla Dawn, which, like I said at the beginning of the show about the gala stuff, if you've been following now up to like episode 21, you've already known what they've done with Isla Dawn, but if you haven't, if you're watching this fresh, we have been pretty harsh critics of Isla Dawn on the show. And I feel like we've been justified. I don't think anything she's done since coming to WWE has blown anyone away. If anything, I think she's come off kind of awkward. I will say, in the past few weeks, she has improved for me quite a bit. I liked this vignette. I like her White Witch gimmick. Obviously, that WWE didn't come up with that, but I did. I enjoyed this, and I thought this was really well done. From here, we were taken backstage to a interview with NXT UK GM Johnny Saint, and immediately when I hear that sentence, I shudder and I have flashbacks of reviewing Lord Alfred Hayes, reciting sentences. And Johnny Saint is just, God, he's a legend. He was incredible in his time, but my God, promos are not his forte. Apparently, word on the streets is so much has been edited from earlier episodes of NXT UK with Johnny Saint talking. It's insane. Like he rambled on for like 10 fucking minutes once, apparently. But anyway, right here, thankfully, I guess the loophole they found a way out of it. Sid Scala announced right here the official co-GM alongside Johnny Saint, which is huge news already. We've seen the return of Travis Banks in this episode and this announcement. And my God, thank God, because Sid Scala, whatever. I always mess his name up. I could listen to him talk 10,000 hours more than Johnny Saint talking. Sid Scala, saying he's thankful for the position, thanked Johnny Saint and said he'll do his best, though interrupted by the brand new NXT UK Women's Champion Rhea Ripley, and who flat out said it. No one's on her league. She wants some competition. Find her a challenger. By the way, she dwarfs both men. She dwarfed Radzi, everybody. I think probably the camera guy and the lighting guy too. She's just a very tall woman, and it's a great look, and she really does. She's kind of like Charlotte for me, and I think Rhea Ripley's tremendous, and I'm happy she won the women's title. I think that Tony Storm was too obvious, to do, and I think the money's always in the chase, like they say, blah blah blah. And I think it's the right way to go. But here, pretty much bullies Sid Scala and is mean to Johnny Saint. How dare she? And then, she doesn't think much of his hired help just yet, but she to impress her, she wants him to find her competition. He said he'll do his best. From here, I feel like I hopped in a goddamn DeLorean again, and once again, it's Nina Samuels and Isla Dawn. Oh God, I feel like I've already reviewed this match like 27 times, but here, this is probably the best match they've had together. That's not saying much though. This wasn't like they weren't hanging for the rafters and stuff, guys. This was a pretty standard match with Isla Dawn looking stronger, I think, for the most part, as she should. She's the one getting the push in the coming episode. She got her win with the finisher clean. I think the fans were starting to buy into Isla Dawn here more, and man, I think they have the heels cover. I think she's good as a face right now. I think it's a better role for her. Maybe Matt disagrees. Maybe you disagree, but I feel like the fans could definitely get behind her, and they did book her strong here, and it was what it was. Up next, Eddie Dennis takes on Tucker, Matt's favorite athlete in NXT UK. This was flat out 100% a squash match. I will say I do not envy Tucker for taking that shot, that forearm shot to the back at the beginning of the match that was so stiff I could feel it, man. Just those spots where you just see it and you're like, ooh, you cringe. Eddie Dennis clobbered the hell out of Tucker, and I don't think Tucker was on Kurt Hennig levels of selling. I don't think he was selling. I think he really fucking hurt him. This was just buckle bombs and cravats and just knees, stiff knees, and just domination, booking Eddie Dennis like a monster, as they should. Yeah, Eddie Dennis wins by pinfall with the next stop driver. I'm enjoying Eddie Dennis attire. Not the headmaster is quite the momentum. If you followed up to episode 13 right now, what direction are they going to take him in? We'll see that very soon. With that, that takes us to the main event this week's episode 13. And my God, what a main event this was this week. Jordan Devlin taking on the Mod Father, Flash Morgan Webster. This was everything you would expect it to be. Yes, it was high spot festy and blah, blah, blah. Like I said earlier, got to get over that stuff. But there was some good storytelling, some good pacing. Flash Morgan Webster, we've said it time and time again. Matt says it all the time. If booked properly, could be a Daniel Bryan-esque underdog type character for this show to eventually win that. I could totally see him winning that title down the road. Until then, I don't think he's going to be in the title picture anytime soon. But Jordan Devlin, calling it a bold prediction once again this year, he will be NXT UK champion, and Jordan Devlin got the win in this match. Man, we saw everything, both men's signature maneuvers. There's too much, honestly, here to describe. Even describing the moves here for this match could not do it justice. This was your must-see match of the week. The Fabian Eichner and Mandrews match was very good too, but I feel like this one was just on another level. It was just, I don't know, it just felt special, and it was, the crowd was into it after they'd sat through the long tapings anyway. To pick a crowd like that back up speaks volumes, and both men, I think, as long as NXT UK exists, and they stay politically on the right end of things backstage, I think both men's futures are absolutely 100% bright and positive. I can't wait to see what a year from now, where these two guys are at in NXT UK. But that was your main event, and it was a double thumbs up. I really enjoyed this episode of NXT UK. One of the better ones I see. I'm going to give it a solid B+. Man, from the promo at the beginning of Gallus' return to Travis Banks, the announcement of Sid Scala as GM, we got to see the women's champ in there make her first appearance since winning the title for the most part. I got Nina Samuels and Isla Dawn, the best match they've had, but once again, nothing special. Mark Andrews, Fabian Eichner, great freaking match with the surprise win of Fabian Eichner there. Another, like I said, dare I see, must see. And the main event, once again, my God, Jordan Devlin, Flash Morgan Webster. Go out of your way to check that out. 2 thumbs up for this show once again. That's it for me. I'm tagging out, making the tag, my partner Matt here. Once again, real quick on Twitter at the hIBIKI Hit the subscribe right down below for all the best in retro gaming and pro wrestling, and stumbling over your fucking words apparently. All apologies for that. Thank you guys once again. Here's Matt, but before that, here's our buddies at the Red Leaf Retrocast.
Hey Colin, did you get the cardboard cutout of Console Kev?
Did I ever? It's amazing.
Oh, I think so too. I hate that guy. Kevin, what are you doing here?
Just eavesdropping on all the bad things you say about me. My usual Wednesday.
Oh, well, did you at least prepare for the Retro Gaming Podcast?
Absolutely not.
Oh, God, that figures. Alright, it's okay. I'll take it from here. Basically, we pick a theme every time, and we pick a number of games based on that theme. You know, just like our first episode where it lasted forever and we talked about space games.
Yeah, and other good, all the mainstream systems and games you love, like the 3DO, the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, come on. Colin, you back me up here. The 3DO is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were friends. I mean, it's cool. Alright.
If you want to hear 3 guys talk about games that are bad because JD picked them all, and good games that Kevin picked, join us.
Who here wants to see a bunch of nerds talking video games with a little bit of anime thrown in there? Nobody? Just me? Damn!
Well, speaking of anime, Colin, we have an anime cast as well.
Yes, we do. All retro anime. Many of which I have never heard of myself. And I'm a weeb!
Very similar premise there. We pick a retro anime, at least 15 years or older, and we review it every episode. We also keep up on all the modern stuff, all the seasonal things from the year. Hey, Kevin, you just got back into wrestling, right?
I did.
Oh my god, did you know we also have a wrestling cast that just started?
I do now, because nobody tells me anything.
Ah, well, what do you think of the big dog these days?
He still sucks.
Well, that's good. Well, luckily, we just don't complain about WWE stuff. We also talk about a lot of the latest and greatest from the rising indie scene, New Japan, and Ring of Honor.
I like rings and honor.
Well, you should definitely listen to the Red Leaf Retrocast. We have such a wide range of topics, ideas to discuss, and just anything to review. It's fantastic, don't you guys think so?
It's alright!
Absolutely. And thanks again for the Sailor Moon episode. That's got me a lifetime supply of salt for my fries. From the fans. Ha!
That's the Red Leaf Retrocast.
And we are back here on Union Smack. Thank you as always to my co-host, my friend, my brother from another mother if you will, for taking time out of his busy schedule to record a cracking review of episode 13 of NXT UK. It's hard to believe we're 14 episodes in to this show. I've had arguments and discussions with people on Twitter about the storylines and the booking and the way it's taking time to grow. But I'm enjoying it, I really am. Before we get into the review of episode 13, I'd just like to say that it's not the most exciting wrestling show out there, as far as storylines go, and even some of the action. If we're looking at it as a whole thing, there's an argument to be made that it's been pretty dull so far. But like I said on Twitter, they're finding their feet. It's going to pick up after TakeOver. I'm 100% sure of that. And I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Maybe that's because we've waited for what seems like an eternity for this show. We started this podcast 2017, right almost at the beginning. We're talking May time. And it was just after the inaugural tournament where we were promised this would lead into a brand, etc. And it didn't. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited. So maybe the waiting has made me love it more, or at least made me appreciate it more, because I feel like I have been waiting for it forever. But I don't think I'm biased towards it. If something's shit, I will call it shit. I don't know how Travis rated episode 13 yet, because obviously we're recording this separately. I don't know how he rated the main event, which was Jordan Devlin versus Flash Morgan Webster, if you've just heard. Personally, I thought it was a boring piece of horseshit. Honestly, I didn't enjoy it whatsoever, and I love both of them. Until the end, it was just a no-go for me. And that's how NXT UK has been sometimes. It's been good, sometimes horseshit, mediocre, good. And it's dipped. It's been a roller coaster of them three for me. NXT UK episode 14, I have to say it continued that trend. It continued it big time, if you like. We kicked off this episode with Joseph Connors versus Dan Maloney, because that is the match that I desperately wanted to see kicking off a brand that needs to really propel itself now. Now we're coming into 2019. Whoever booked this, and I'm looking at Triple H here, ridiculous. Seriously, nobody has got any interest in Joseph Connors, and if you have, correct me in the comments below. You know where to find me on Twitter. Then correct me, tell me, because as far as I can see, Joseph Connors and Dan Maloney, both jobbers. Joseph Connors might get somewhere in the tag team division, maybe. I hope not, because I can't stand the bloke. But I just can't see any interest or anything about him at all that makes me think he's going to be a star. I know he has been in Britain. I know he's held world titles here. But what a boring wrestler he is. Dan Maloney, first-class jobber. First-class jobber, you could tell. You could absolutely tell the first time he stepped on to an NXT UK / WWE UK stage in the inaugural tournament in January 2017. First-class jobber. Again, there's nothing about him. And he must have the most generic ring gear I've ever seen. Lazy bastard. Lazy. Put some effort in. I'm not going to spend too long reviewing this match. It was boring. It was dull. It was a house show match. If I pay to go and see NXT UK live on the road, this is the sort of match I expect in the mid-card or to open. Joseph Connors wins with the don't look down. Done and dusted. I'd never want to see these two men wrestle each other or separately again. But I know there's more Joseph Connors to come, so maybe I'll be fast-forwarding bits of NXT UK from now on. Next up, we are taken backstage to everyone's favourite reporter, Radzi from Blue Peter. And he's with one of the least charismatic women I think I've ever seen in Isla Dawn. I mean, again, don't know what Travis has said about her match on episode 13. It was a piece of shit for me, again. Here, she tries. I mean, they try to get her over, and they've tried in the past, but for me, it's not worked. Here, she spouts the lines that everything she's done comes from a place of spirit, etc., etc. And it's babble. It's just babble coming out of a mouth I wouldn't care about if it was on its knees in front of me. Sorry, but she holds no interest for me whatsoever. She's the female version of Joseph Connors, and we said this a few weeks ago. For me, the best thing they can do with Isla Dawn now is put her in Gallus, because of the Scottish connection, obviously, and have her advanced by association, because on her own, it's not working. She comes out to crickets, no one cares, her matches are a toilet break, so if you're not going to do something massive with her, then I don't see any point of her being on the brand. And I know people will come at me and say she needs time to mature, etc. And I agree. She absolutely needs time to mature. I think this call-up has come too soon for Isla Dawn. She's not good in the ring. She's not good on the mic. Her outfit and her attire, I think we've covered in the past, needs a drastic alteration, or at least loosening around the crotch. I think she could have done with another year and a half on the independents before WWE called her up. Honestly, that's my belief. So if you're not going to do anything major with her, she's not, and she's not going to be a major contender for the Women's Championship anytime soon in anyone's playbook. So either do something massive with her, like put her with Gallus, or let her go for now, because I just don't want to see her wrestle. I honestly don't. Luckily, this was interrupted by UK Women's Champion Rhea Ripley. She says she wants believable competition and not just competition. Again, I agree. Isla Dawn is just a flash in the pan for her. She's never going to be a contender, so she can move on and lets us move on. We are taken to earlier in the evening. Mustache Mountain arrive outside the arena. They are greeted, of course, by Gallus, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang. And we are then given Sid Scala and Johnny Saint, who get involved in, I'm not going to say a believable or enjoyable pull-apart brawl, because it was nothing really. They didn't even fight. They were pulled apart by the least convincing looking security I've ever seen. Johnny Saint did his best Gandalf impression, shouting "Away with you, away," and that was that. I can see how it advanced the Gallus British Strong Style storyline, which we are going to get in the run-up to New Year's and in the run-up to Takeover Blackpool. But they could have made more of this. They really, really could have made more of this, because if my memory serves me correctly, and spoiler alert, don't listen for the next minute if you don't want spoilers, I believe Mustache Mountain beat Mark Coffey and Wolfgang in the Tag Team Championship tournament. That's my belief. I might be wrong. If I am, I apologise. But I believe that is what is to come. I would have liked to see another attack on Mustache Mountain. I think if the trio had have attacked Tyler Bate and Trent Seven in the parking lot, locked Tyler Bate in a trunk of a car while they smashed Trent Seven's knee to pieces, I think that would have been a better build-up. I think it would have got Gallus over as a bigger threat. They're undoubtedly, I can't even speak now. Undoubtedly, hey, got it right, round of applause. They're undoubtedly the biggest heels of NXT UK, quite rightly so. I think they should be treated like that more. I don't just want to see who run in, etc. Attack them in the parking lot, lock one in a trunk, batter the other's knee to shreds, and then when Mustache Mountain do beat Mark Coffey and Wolfgang in the NXT UK Tag Team Championship tournament, it's a sweeter victory. Much sweeter than just a few words in a parking lot, as if they've just come out of a club in Glasgow at 1 o'clock in the morning. Everyone's smacked off their tits on beer. I just think it's a much better build. Much, much better. But they didn't do it, sadly. That took us to Mike Hitchman versus Bomber Dave Mastiff. And do you know what? Really, really enjoyed this match. I'm loving Mike Hitchman as a character, as a wrestler. And I'll be honest, I hadn't really heard of him before NXT UK. Before he came out, I believe it was at the second annual tournament this year, he fought Ligero in the dark match, which I watched on YouTube because it wasn't available on the network to my knowledge. Really impressed with him. He's small, he's athletic, he can actually work, which some people on this roster really can't. I noticed once again he came out sans mask. I don't know what they've done with it because I really liked the wild boar mask he's got. It goes well with the black lenses. But I will say, it's such a shame that he isn't used better. I know he's not got the look or the build to be used as a main heel in the company, but I think he could be a first-class mid-card heel. He could be right up there, propping up Gallus as the main heels. He could be right underneath them, doing something wonderful in the mid-card, and it's a shame he's not. Take away the black lenses, and for me, he's got the look of a classic 80s tag team member. He actually reminds me a little bit of Ole Anderson, and I know a lot of people will laugh, but shave the hair, take the contacts out, and there he is, just a smaller version. And I'd like to see Mike Hitchman used better, because in this match against Dave Mastiff, he was brilliant. He was actually brilliant. Dave Mastiff didn't have to carry him, and Dave Mastiff has carried a lot of his opponents so far in squash matches. Didn't have to carry Hitchman. So impressed with how much offense Hitchman got in the match. Dave Mastiff, of course, wins with a cannonball. They're building him for Eddie Dennis, which we'd see in a minute. And I recommend this match. It was a solid mid-card match. I recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. Like I said, this led us to Dave Mastiff backstage with Radzi. Again, so much Radzi over these two shows. Too much. This man needs to be... He needs to be fed in small doses to us, because there's way too much of him. Way too much of him. I just can't stand the bloke. I really can't. It looks like he doesn't have a clue what's going on. He doesn't know much about wrestling, at least as far as I've seen. 14 episodes in, he's not displayed any knowledge about the business whatsoever. You know, he's in deep. Deeper than Apollo's fingers were in Sasha Banks last Monday night. He is so out of place. I wish they'd replace him with anyone else. Anyone else. The UK has a wealth of television presenters and people who could fill that interviewer role better than Radzi. And I'm sorry. I know people like him and he has his fans, etc., but just doesn't belong here for me. Back to my original point. He was interviewing Dave Mastiff, who came off as a babyface here. I think this is the beginning of a Dave Mastiff babyface turn, knowing what's coming up for him at TakeOver. Some would say he's been a babyface all along, just a destructive one. He says he's going straight to the top. All through the interview, if you looked in the background, Eddie Dennis was poking his head through the door, and there was just a little nod of recognition for Dennis at the end. And that's going to be Dave Mastiff's feud going into TakeOver. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing in person Dave Mastiff versus Eddie Dennis at TakeOver Blackpool in a no disqualification match. The build up to that also in the coming weeks should be amazing. That took us to Tyson T-Bone, everyone's favourite pikey, versus Ligero. Huge reception for Ligero. I'm surprised he's not bigger than he is. 14 shows in. I'd say this match, again, just like Ligero's last match in NXT UK, very methodical pace. And for me, they've been giving him the wrong opponents. A Ligero match should be more than this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it should be all aerial spots and high flying from beginning to end, because it shouldn't. It should just be better than this. I think he needs opponents who can match what he does. Just look at what he did with Mike Hitchman twice. And then look at his match with Tyson T-Bone. And his match before that in NXT UK, which I think was with Dan Maloney. They're just not that great. Ligero is better than this. NXT UK is and should be better than this. So I urge them to treat Ligero properly. Give him an opponent that he can really get his fucking teeth into. Look at his match with Jordan Devlin. Amazing. I'd give that 4.5 stars easily. If it had another 10 minutes, it would have been a 5-star match for me. I know a lot of people will disagree, but, you know, wrestling is an opinion-based business. No one's wrong, no one's right. So, there you go. Ligero did save this, I will say, and he won with a springboard splash. Neatly tied up. Don't go out of your way to watch it if you haven't seen it already. It's nothing special. Next up, Rhea Ripley comes out, and it's not an open challenge. She takes the mic. Great reaction for Rhea Ripley. I think she's really caught on. Her character, her gimmick, it's really caught on with the audience, and it's much better than the arguably hotter Australian girl next door. which she was in the 2017 Mae Young Classic. So Ripley takes the mic. She says she's all about opportunity, and she's handpicked her challenger. And out comes Candy Floss. I'm not familiar with Candy Floss, I won't lie. So if anyone can fill me in on her, fine. If not, I'll research her for myself. You know it's going to be a squash. This girl is dressed like Candy Floss. If you're from America, cotton candy. She's got the pink, the blue, she's got the Bailey smile. It's all very sweet. Rhea wins with a riptide. Of course she does. Nothing special. It exhibits Rhea Ripley, gets her talents out there for everyone to see, and job done. Next up, we have Flash Morgan Webster on what is meant to be a press trail for the show. He confronts Fabian Eichner for what Fabian did to Mark Andrews in episode 13. Challenges him to a match next week, and Fabian agrees. So very much looking forward to that, especially after the stunning Mark Andrews Eichner match we saw in episode 13. And of course, Eichner is the current Evolve champion. As I record this, there's a chance Roderick Strong will be by the time you listen to this. Backstage, we stayed with Sid Scala and Johnny Saint. Scala, who is obviously, and of course now the assistant to the general manager, makes Trent Seven versus Joe Coffey for next week, and says we'll then get an update on the tag team titles on the same show. It's all very neatly done. I'm quite enjoying this Sid Scala character. I like that they've done something with him rather than just made him the plucky underdog who never wins. For me personally, Sid Scala is going to turn into a Baron Corbin way down the line. He's going to try and take Johnny Saint's job, undermine him, etc., etc. We've seen it done 1,000 times. I'm interested to see where this one goes. Main event time. Don't get me started on it. Wolfgang versus Travis Banks. This, and I timed it because I've got nothing better to do with my life, got 7 minutes from beginning to end. Your main event, which could have been brilliant, which could have exceeded Ligero versus Jordan Devlin. It could have exceeded Jordan Devlin versus Pete Dunne. But they just didn't believe in it. They didn't believe in it. They didn't give it the time it should have had, which should have been 15 to 20 minutes for what both men can do. And I do understand Travis Banks was just coming back from an injury, so he probably couldn't work the same length or style that he does in Progress and around the world. But still, Wolfgang's a good enough wrestler to help Banks through this if he was still struggling with ring rust, etc. It was a disgusting display for me of just throw them out there and people will like it and believe it. I didn't like it. I didn't believe it. I thought they did fine with the 7 minutes they got. Wolfgang worked on the injured shoulder, of course, logically. There was a nice double foot stomp from the apron, was it? Apron or stairs, one of them. Mustache Mountain, of course, come out to deal with the coffees. Trent Seven swipes the leg of Wolfgang on a suplex attempt, and Travis Banks gets the win. That's it. That was it. This was rushed, and it made Wolfgang look weak. And in turn, it made Gallus look weak, losing so easily and so quickly. I was very, very much disgusted with this match. And like Jordan Devlin versus Flash Morgan Webster, it was just a match to fill time for me. So that's 2 main events on 2 consecutive episodes that failed to hit the mark. At least for me. There'll be some people out there who loved it, but for me, it was heavily rushed. That brings us to the end of NXT UK episode 14 review. I'm going to give this show, I'm going to give it a C. I'm going to be very harsh and give it a C. Opener, wasn't interested. Tyson T-Bone versus Ligero should have been better. Rhea Ripley versus Candy Floss, a nothing match. Main event was rushed. The only real highlight on this, which you probably should check out, Mike Hitchman versus Dave Mastiff. That was it. Episode 14 for me was a washout apart from that match. And that's it. That is it for this episode of Union Smack. And that is it for 2018. However good or however bad a year you believed it to be for professional wrestling. Before I wish you all a happy holiday, I forgot to do this at the beginning of the episode. You can find me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can find Travis on Twitter at The hIBIKI TMD. You can buy my book, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, officially released. It's officially out. You can buy it from completelynovel.com. You can buy it along with our official shirts, the official Union Smack shirt, the official hIBIKI TMD shirt from unionsmack.bigcartel.com. It would be very, very much appreciated if you could take your time to spend your hard-earned money on a copy. It took me a year and a half to complete. It's a very personal book. I believe it's a very good read, but then I am biased because it is mine. But it's worth checking out. Support independent writers. And, as Travis would say, be a doll baby.